Mercy Chege?
Juma.
Okay.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Sumaya Juma from Lirai Toastmasters, and I'm here to learn more about Speechcraft. I've had a very lazy and eventful day. I pass it over to Masi Mwangi.
Hello, everyone. I am delighted to be here. I've been waiting for this particular session, and I'm grateful to have a chance to attend. I am the president of Downtown Toastmasters Club in Nairobi. I am privileged to have an awesome club of champions, and we are ready to test out the new frontier, which is Speechcraft. So I look forward to make this a regular part of our club business.
Thank you.
I pass it.
Thank you so much, Mercy. We appreciate you. I request the others to put how their day has been on the chat. We have used up the 10 minutes we had allocated for the intro segment, and we can segue into the Speechcraft session. My name is Maggie Jeroge. I'm serving as the Program Quality Director of District 114. I belong to two clubs, Nairobi Toastmasters Club, and that's the club that made me a Toastmaster girl, and the Hill Toastmasters Club. And I'm delighted that we're able to host this special Speechcraft session together with the Division D Director, Dr. Atul Sankar. A number of us have shown interest in learning about Speechcraft and trying to get a better understanding of what it's all about. And I will call upon those who've already let us know on the call that they have been involved in a Speechcraft to share a little bit about the experience that they've been having. To kickstart us off this evening, we have a very simple agenda, and I would like to share it with us. Dr. Atul, let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Thank you for the confirmation. Toastmasters Speechcraft is a club extension activity. It enables us to go beyond our respective clubs and charter new territories. And as we'll see later, as Speechcraft is one of the requirements that we can undertake as we fulfill credit towards our DTM certification. Very briefly, we'll be looking at the Speechcraft overview, the purpose of Speechcraft, overview of pathways credit for Speechcraft, how Speechcraft works, and the Speechcraft credit towards DTM certification under club support or extension. What is Speechcraft? I would like a volunteer to read for us what Speechcraft is. Or can I just nominate? President Mercy Mwangi, can you kindly read for us? What is Speechcraft? And by the way, pay attention, I'll be calling upon you.
Sure. Speechcraft is a blended learning program designed to provide optimal support for learners interested in building their communication and public speaking skills in 4 to 8 sessions that may run online or in person. Buy a $50 bundle for a cohort of 5 participants who are also called Speechcrafters.
That's a lot of information, isn't it? And what that basically lets us know is that Speechcraft has been borrowed from a bigger program called Pathways. And it has been put together specifically targeting those who are not yet Toastmasters and they do not want a long-term commitment, and therefore they're able to attend anything between 4 to 6 sessions And we recommend that you hold them as consecutive sessions so that you don't lose momentum in the team you're leading. And for you to be able to access Speechcraft, which, by the way, appears on your Toastmasters profile. How many of us have seen Speechcraft on our Toastmasters profile? Who has seen it? Excellent. Lovely. I can see Jerogemina, I can see Josephine, I can see Nelly, I can see Dr. Josephat, I can see Gussie Stella. Lovely. Maggie Waithiru. It's good that you've seen where Speechcraft lives on the Toastmasters website. And it's alongside where the tile for Basecamp is the Basecamp for Pathways. Then we have a special Basecamp for Speechcraft. And then the other club extension option that we have is the Youth Leadership Program. And typically what happens is you need to find 5 participants. And these are the ones who are called Speechcrafters. And you, as the coordinator, will go online and buy a bundle for $50. And you find that we have projects borrowed from the Pathways Education Program, and that's why it's being called a condensed version of what Toastmasters members experience during our regular club meetings. And as we can appreciate, being on the Toastmasters website, we are able to access the same online. Can we learn a little bit about the Speechcrafters experience and the participants in a Speechcraft? And these are the 5 participants that you are recruiting are called Speechcrafters. And they are the ones who take on the Speechcraft. And you, as the coordinator, the Toastmaster, has the name Speechcraft Coordinator or coordinators in plural. And serving as the designated lead, you will teach them the fundamentals of public speaking. Why was Speechcraft created? Does it have a purpose? And what we're saying is it was created to enable those who are non-Toastmasters get the introductory experience that will help them boost their confidence and skills without immediately joining a full-time club. And that's a Toastmasters club. And for those of us who've experienced Speechcraft before, this is a great way to mine new clubs. Because once the Speechcraft comes to an end, over a period of maybe it was 6 to 8 weeks, the members in your Speechcraft may now want to engage as full-time or on a more regular basis as Toastmasters. And therefore, it serves as a beautiful tool where we can recruit Toastmasters or even begin a Toastmasters club within that organization, either for those Speechcrafters or for members in the organization. And we have situations where we go in and do a Speechcraft for 6 to 8 weeks. And our target audience, the directors and the top management in an organization. And once they go through the program and get an appreciation of it, they're like, we would want this for a medium level and maybe entry level management, or they open it up to the whole organization. So even though the people we are now starting a Toastmasters club for were not in the Speechcraft, the leadership has seen the value of Toastmasters, and they are willing to host a Toastmasters club or even several Toastmasters clubs, depending on the size of the organization, just because they went through Speechcraft. And what is in it for the people who attend? confidence. When they go back to their organizations, they are able to relay their company story more effectively and even be able to sell their products more effectively. Typically, what do people learn in a speechcraft? For the participant, and we now know they are called. Who remembers the name of the participants in the speechcraft? Unmute and shout it out.
Speechcrafters.
You're good students. Speechcrafters. They will learn how to prepare short speeches, be it impromptu or certain projects that have been borrowed from the Pathways program. And as they prepare these short speeches, they are learning invention and arrangement. How do you come up with a speech? How do you arrange the content so that you capture the audience's attention? And once you have prepared the short speech, how about learning to use language creatively and discovering your own style as a speaker? Additionally, we show them how to remember the key points. Again, it's adult learning. We're not going to memorize. We use the word internalize, where you know the flow in your speech, you have the key points, and because you're familiar with your speech, you're able to flesh out the different points. And finally, you're able to use your voice and your body language as communication tools effectively. And this is where we are focusing on the voice, the gestures, and your stage presence in what we call delivery. So what's in it for the speech crafters? They're able to have invention and arrangement skills for their speeches. They're able to discover their own unique style as speakers. They learn the unique skill on how to internalize by just remembering the key points. And they also learn how to deliver using their voice and their body language as effective communication tools, and also how to master your stage presence. And the emphasis, as we know, as Toastmasters, it's all about learning by doing. And all this is supported by feedback from Toastmasters. And it's akin to what the ancient students did when they practiced before their mentors and audiences. And you must have read the story on how Ralph Smedley, the founder of Toastmasters International, they would meet at YMCA and practice how they're going to conduct a particular presentation, or even attend an interview, or practice impromptu speaking. And they would give each other feedback. And while they were doing all that, they would have fun as they practiced on one another. And it's the same concept that is being adopted in Speechcraft. Learning by doing is the Toastmasters model. Where are we today in terms of Speechcraft? The program has come a long way. For those of us who are in the legacy program, we used to have hard copies for Speechcraft, and that has now been digitized. And it's been fully integrated with the Pathways learning system. And what this means is that the speech crafters once they complete certain projects within Speechcraft, and I did mention it has its own base camp, they will get credit for their work if they join a club, but they must log their projects on the special gateway for Speechcraft. I'd like to repeat that again. As you go through your Speechcraft as the coordinator, make sure that your Speechcrafters are updating the projects they deliver within your 6 or 4 to 8 week period onto their own gateway. And that will enable Toastmasters International to see those projects and give them credit in pathways. And the minute you buy the $50 bundle for 5 Speechcrafters, they will get an email, because one of the requirements is that you will key in their contact information. And that's what we'll look at in a little bit. And using that, they'll access the gateway that hosts Speechcraft. And as they go through the different speech levels, they're able to log them in much the same way we go into pathways and log our completed speech projects. And the VP is able to see them. Toastmasters International Education Team is able to see them. And that's how, once the program is over and any of your Speechcrafters join Toastmasters, they do not have to redo those projects if they were captured on the Speechcraft gateway. How does Speechcraft work? And for that, I would like us to look at some of the material that's available to us from Toastmasters International. First and foremost, we have what we call the Coordinator's Guide. And this is a document you'll be able to download. And if Google is your friend, you can Google it. Or you can go into your profile, go past the tile that reads Basecamp, and click on the one that reads Speechcraft. However, a word of caution, if you have not yet bought the bundle, you get to a place where you cannot move, because then it's purely for the Speechcraft coordinator. Similar to what we go through in Basecamp. You can access certain parts of pathways on the website, but for you to go into the nitty-gritties of Basecamp, you must be a member in good standing. We do have the Speechcraft Coordinator Quick Start Guide. And this is what you will go through after you have bought the bundle. You will get an email from your Speechcraft order confirmation email, and it comes in as a Speechcraft order confirmation email. And then you'll be able to activate it by putting in the confirmation number. And it's something similar to what you're seeing on my screen, and I'm hoping it's large enough for you to see it. Once you do that, then you're able to access the gateway for Speechcraft as a coordinator. And it will then tell you, welcome to Speechcraft. And then you're able to create an event. And this is where you're able to put in the details of your 5 participants. You begin by choosing the club, for those of us who belong to more than one club, that you want to be associated with that credit towards your DTM certification. And then once you put the details of the bundle, and then you'll verify that, and then you'll get to a point where after reading the terms and conditions and everything else, you will be able to go to Speechcraft Learning. And I will share these documents on the chat so that you have access to them if you've not already downloaded them. Then you also put the details of the Speechcraft. Where will it be held? Who is the host? When is it starting? When is it ending? Will you have in person or will it be online? So you'll be guided through the questions on what you need to put. Then when you're done with the information related to the participants and where you will be meeting, you will then come in and put the details of your 5 participants. And what I like about this is that the sequence is detailed for us so well. The same way we went through selecting a path, but now you're setting up a session for Speechcraft. Then you go in there, put the names of the individuals and request them to put the names they want on the certificate, because that will be an official document. Then, of course, their email. And the minute you save this, they too will get an email. And the day they register, it will no longer read pending registration. It will read that they have registered. So that's the first. The second, then they'll have the third and the fourth and the fifth. So that will be your cohort. And then you get a confirmation, and each of your speech crafters will get an email, and keep checking here to make sure that they are registering. Whether it's still reading pending registration, it means they have not accessed. And this is similar to what we see on the other side, especially for the VPE, when the VPE wants to know whether somebody has gone in and selected a path and it's still reading no. So the equivalent of the no in the Pathways program is pending registration. It means this member has not yet gone into their Speechcrafter gateway, and you can reach out to them. Any questions so far? Is it making sense? Any questions so far or comments?
Yes, it is making sense. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Welcome, welcome. So that's what happens on the speech coordinator's side. What about the side of the participants? What will they see? And for that, we have another special document, which I will also share with you. And it looks...
Good evening, Maggie. DTM
Yes.
Maggie, I had 2 questions.
Go right ahead.
The first question was, I know that Speechcraft you can have 2 coordinators, but you need 5. What if you don't end up having 5 people each in order to get 10 participants? And then the other question was, how long do you get access from Speechcraft to Pathways? Is it for a limited time, or they can log in anytime after they've done Speechcraft, even if it's after 5 years, and they will have the access to Pathways, the speeches that they're exempted from?
Excellent questions. Thank you so much, Area Director 3, Rahab. What happens is if you don't have the minimum or the ideal size of a cohort, which is 5. Then you may find that you're running a cohort with fewer people, which is not recommended. As much as possible, let's try and get to the 5. And if you find your group has got more than 5, and in fact, this is a good time for me to mention that we are running a cohort. And I saw some of the coordinators on the call. Peter Masharia, are you there?
Good evening. Yes, I'm here listening.
Could you kindly go ahead?
Yes, I'm here listening in.
Thank you so much. Could you kindly take a minute and let the team that's on this call know how many cohorts we are currently running with you and the team?
Thanks,
Over to you, Peter.
Thanks, DTM Maggie. At the moment, we have 4 cohorts, 5 members each, so that's a total of 20 speech crafters. Back to you.
Thank you. And each of us has our cohort of 5. And what happened, initially, this particular organization only had 17. And we let them know that it happens in bundles of 5, a cohort of 5, and they found the 3 for them to reach 20. So there is a way you can prevail on the organization to get 2 multiples of 5 so that you can get the bundle. Because what will happen is if you don't have enough, then the other slots will be left open. And it may not be cost effective for the organization. And something else to note is the organization is paying for the Speechcraft. And it can be anything from $50 up to what you agree, as it's willing buyer, willing seller, but you must deliver value. I'll take that again. You will charge the Speechcrafters anything between $50 to an amount you will agree, that's willing buyer, willing seller, but you must deliver value. So that, I believe, answers the question on what happens if you don't have a cohort of 5. And Peter has let us know that the current Speechcraft we're running, we are 4 coordinators, and each of us has got a cohort of 5. Therefore, we're working with a team of 20. The other question on whether or how long it takes from the time you complete your Speechcraft to when you can get access to pathways depends purely on how quickly that particular Speechcrafter can now complete the membership application form to join a Toastmasters club. Or if the organization is setting up a Toastmasters club, how quickly the club sponsors can help that club to charter for these members to be paid up and able to access the pathway. The minute that happens, then the club sponsor will write to Toastmasters International or the club mentor, depending on when they join, and let them know that this particular individual attended this Speechcraft, and they're able to check in their system. And if for whatever reason that member joins that club years after the club sponsor and the club mentor are no longer supporting that club directly, the Vice President of Education can do that. And Toastmasters International will be able to go into the Speechcraft gateway with the information provided by this member and access that record and transfer the credit. Does that answer your question, Area Director Rahab, your questions?
Yes, DTM Maggie. Although my first question was more of if you are unable to get, like if you get more than 5 but less than 10, and you are 2 people, that means that 2 of you wanted to get the credit, because I know you can get up to 2 people getting, I saw something like that. I had
Yep.
something like that for a Speechcraft. What
Yes.
happens? Only one person will be able to claim it. For instance, if you have 8 people, that's what I'm asking. Only one person will be able to claim it, or what happens in such an instance?
And that's the one I was saying. It's ideal to have 5 per cohort, but if you find you don't have 5, then you'll register the ones you have, and then you'll have blanks for the other, and it may not always be cost effective. So for the example you've given of 8, you can have 4, but just note that each of you has a blank field, as it were, for the 5th participant.
Okay.
So it's for the organization to decide, is it cost effective or not? And I gave the example of what happened. We had 17 participants, and we prevailed upon them to add the 3, and they managed 2. But in the event it doesn't happen, you can continue just as long as the organization has the understanding that the cohort needs to have 5. And you're proceeding with the 4 because they haven't found a 5th one. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Any other question or comment, or anybody wants to add? I'm conscious there are others who have conducted a Speechcraft on the call. Question or comment?
DTM Maggie,
Yes.
just building on that question that the Rehab is asking,
Yes.
when you still now go ahead with the 4
Yes.
and the blank of 5, well, the organization will have the discussion around the cost effectiveness and so forth. But will you get the point, the credit?
Yes, you should be able to get the credit just as long as you conduct the entire Speechcraft.
Okay, with the 4 now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And just to note that even after the Speechcraft sessions are over, your 4 to 8 weeks, the Speechcrafters still have access to the material for 90 days. Even after the Speechcraft is over, the Speechcrafters have access to the material for 90 days.
So, PQ to Maggie, sorry to interrupt. So, what is the minimum number of speech crafters to have to qualify to get credit?
Like I mentioned, the ideal number is 5 because we have been given that slot.
But you mentioned that
And
even
we should
4.
strive. Go ahead.
You mentioned that even 4 also is also having a point for the Speechcraft, even if for
Yes, but the ideal is 5.
5.
In fact, we have a scenario right now where we have some Speechcrafters who've not been able to attend our sessions regularly. So you'll find they will not get credit, but that doesn't negate you from getting credit because they didn't show up. Is that clear?
Yes. Thank you, PQ.
Welcome. But let us strive to work with multiples of 5. And it makes the discussions more lively anyway. The more the merrier. We're now looking at the Speechcraft from the perspective of the participant, and these are the Speechcrafters. When you, as the coordinator, go in to your profile after you bought the bundle, and you key in their names in the place where I showed you earlier and where it was reading pending registration. Your speech crafters will receive an email from Toastmasters International, and they will be guided on how to access their Speechcraft gateway. And because you as the coordinator has already put their details online, the information as regards to their name will already be there. And they will go in and activate their profile. And they will get access to what we are calling the Speechcraft gateway. And this is how they'll be accessing their Speechcraft. And they are being reminded to bookmark that particular website, the same way we do as Toastmasters. So I'm sure some of us have it on speed dial, isn't it? Then they are able to go into their system and something interesting happens. There is a self-assessment that they take, similar to the assessment that we take before we select a path if you choose that option. You know, for pathways, you can either look at all the paths and read them, or you can take an assessment and the system recommends which path you can pick. So there is a before evaluation. And each speech crafter is invited to take on the same. And once they're done, then they will click the survey. There is a button to complete it. And when you see that there is a before, there'll also be an after, which they'll do at the end of the program. And they get to see and manage their expectations as they go through that particular evaluation. And when they're done with it, then at the end, at the bottom of the screen, they'll see the Mark Complete tab. Does that make sense? And I will share these documents with you. And you're welcome to read them at your leisure. And some of the things you will be doing is to rate your level, or at least for them to rate their level. Where are they? And they need to answer the questions. And one of the questions is, while participating in a conversation with a new acquaintance, I feel very nervous. Do you strongly disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree? And it just helps them assess where they are. And even as they establish the goals they want to meet as they go through this 4 to 8 week Speechcraft session. And once that's over, then they're able to exit. And that's the point of view of the coordinator and the speech crafter. There was a question related to the credit, or at least I talked about it. So let's see what happens. And this is yet another document. And it will give us insights on the projects that are undertaken within Speechcraft for you to get credit in your pathway. And you'll get an appreciation of which speeches they are. There is that initial speech, and Peter Macharia will remember when we asked our members just to do a speech. Then we have the icebreaker speech. Does this look familiar? And this is the first speech that's eligible for credit because we have seen it before, haven't we, in Pathways? There is a match right there. Then there's a second speech, writing a speech with a purpose. Again, we've seen this speech before. It's level 1, project 2 in Pathways, isn't it? And therefore another perfect match. Then we have another speech, the third one. We are now talking about introduction to vocal variety and body language. Again, a familiar level 1, project 3 project. The third speech. And for them, they are completing level 1 at this point. What's missing? Are you seeing the evaluation and feedback speech is missing? But they've done the icebreaker, writing a speech with a purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language. There is one that's missing, the one that's in 3 parts, the evaluation and feedback, which means if we have a speech crafter who delivered an icebreaker, delivered the writing a speech with a purpose, and also the introduction to vocal variety and body language, they have not done that 4th project in level 1. They'll be exempted for the icebreaker, for writing a speech with a purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language, 3 projects, which means for level 1, they have to undertake the feedback and evaluation session that is in 3 parts for them to complete Pathways level 1. However, for Speechcraft, they're completing it at this point after undertaking these 3 projects that are eligible for credit in Pathways. Does that make sense? So that you know which projects can move. And if you find that that Speechcrafter only delivered the icebreaker, and that's the only one they logged on their Speechcraft gateway, that's the only exemption they will get the day they join and become a Toastmaster. If they undertook 2 projects, icebreaker and writing or speech with a purpose, those are the ones that will move across to Pathways, and they'll need to undertake the 3rd project in level 1, as well as the feedback and evaluation. Then there is opportunity for them to undertake the introduction to Toastmasters mentoring, the compulsory level 2 project in Pathways. And when they do undertake it under Speechcraft, they'll be exempted from this project when they move to Pathways. And there is another option for them. They may select one elective from level 3. And when they do, they will be exempted from that project. If they happen to do both the electives that are required in level 3, they will be exempted from those 2 electives and be left with the main project in level 3 and 1 speech under the education series. Are we seeing how the exemptions work and which projects in Speechcraft will qualify in Pathways? I hope that's clear. And that's how they will get credit or exemption. And guess what? As the coordinator, this is a wonderful review for you as you go through these projects once again. Any question on the projects that are eligible for credit or exemption once you move to Pathways? Area Director Rahab, go right ahead.
Thank you, DTM Maggie. Now I have a question. If you run this session in less than 8 weeks, like in 6 weeks or so,
Yes.
which ones are there any you are allowed to skip, or you must do level 1 then, or you must combine the speeches? How does that work if you do the sessions in less than 8 weeks? And what does the no credit speech mean?
That you just learned the fundamentals. It did not conform to a speech in pathways, not even the icebreaker speech. It could have been a table topic or a longer speech for 2 to 3 minutes. Peter Masharia knows we did a couple of those when we started our sessions. So they do not conform to the pathways project levels. And when you are doing, let's say, a 4-week Speechcraft, the main thing you need to do as the coordinator is give the information to the organization. Let them know that these speeches are available. You may find that some may give you a longer session. And by longer, I mean more than 90 minutes or more than 2 hours, and you're able to accomplish more. So depending on how well you communicated and gave that organization an understanding of the full curriculum that exists for Speechcraft, then they can make an informed choice. So by reducing it to 4 weeks, they're in effect saying, we want a very high level executive, almost like an executive summary type of Speechcraft. And you go in there, show them how to organize their thoughts and come up with their speeches, how to use or recognize their own style, how they can remember the key points by internalizing, and how to use their voice and body as a communication tool when it comes to delivery. So if we can do those 3, we've only done icebreaker, writing a speech with a purpose, and introduction to body language, introduction to vocal variety and body language. If they're not able to do the 3rd one, then you'll be stuck at icebreaker and writing a speech with a purpose. Just the basic foundations, but they did not get to use their voice and body as a tool. See the advantage of being transparent with them and giving them the information? Because you'll tell them, if you only do these 4 sessions, this is as far as we go, and you leave this on the table. So let them make an informed choice after you share the information. Does that help, Area Director Rahab?
Yes, thank you very much, DTM Maggie.
Welcome. Any other question? No comment? Where does Speechcraft feature in your pathways journey as a Toastmaster? Where does Speechcraft feature on your journey as a Toastmaster? This is the chat to DTM. You join as a member. You undertake 2 projects or 2 pathways, and they need to be different pathways. Finish the first one, you do the second one, and then there will be a DTM project that you can gain access once you finish level 3. Then you need to serve as a club leader for a period of 12 months. You need to serve as a district leader for a period of 12 months. And this is where Speechcraft features under club extension. You can either be a club sponsor helping a new club, Toastmasters club, to charter, or you can be a Speechcraft coordinator or you can be a youth leadership coordinator. Any of these three will give you the club extension credit. And we've seen the role description. The other one relates to club support, where you can be a club mentor or a club coach. Once you complete all this, you can alert your VPE, and it's what we say DTM loading. And you'll receive the certification for being a distinguished Toastmaster. So it sits under club extension. You have the choice of being a club sponsor, a Speechcraft coordinator, or a youth leadership coordinator. And that brings me to the end of the presentation. I will take any questions or comments.
Yeah, thank you, PQD Maggie, for a great presentation. I just have one question. So, what is a good number of meetings you suggest? Like, is it 4, 6, or 8?
8 is ideal because you're able to cover the curriculum. You don't want it to be too rushed, because guess what? You're giving them homework. And Peter Mashari and Njoroge Maina will share with you the challenge that is with adults. The minute they leave the Speechcraft meeting, they go back into their meetings at the workplace and they forget. So we need to keep at it and remind them there was homework. Have you prepared your speech? Who is delivering their speech first? And then you get the distinct honor of even talking them through an evaluation and the benefit of that. 8 weeks is ideal so that it's not rushed.
Thank you, PQD Maggie.
Any other question or comment? Did I see Eric? Who had their hand up? Okay, help me see the hands that are up.
It
Can
was
I
a thumbs up.
request Maggie Waiviru, and then we'll hear from AD Rahab? Go ahead. DTM Maggie.
Good evening. Thank you, Maggie, for leading this session. I wish you had run it last year before I did my Speechcraft. It would have made my life so much easier. But anyway, it's never too late to learn. Here is a tip I have for all of you who want to run Speechcraft. As Maggie has just said, adults, you know yourselves, even you, when you say, I'm going to finish a pathway in X number of months, life happens. Sometimes it's outside your control. It will happen with your Speechcrafters. You will start off with 5, all very dedicated, and they will deliver their icebreakers, and then life happens that you find the next session you have 4 people, 3 people, sometimes 2 who have delivered their speeches. Please allow yourself flexibility to support them. Don't look at it like they are frustrating you. You're there. Look at it as a service to them. Somebody walked with you to deliver your speeches. Somebody mentored you. Speechcrafters don't even have mentors. We, the people who are leading the Speechcraft, we are also the mentors. Please allow them grace. Know they might not be able to show up, all of them, at the same time. Allow yourself flexibility to accommodate them. I'll use the example of the team that I had started in November. By the end of the 6 weeks or the 6 sessions, some of them had delivered 4 speeches, others had delivered 1, others had delivered 2. So what are we doing? Chris Mogaka and I, Chris has been supporting me in that process. We just accommodate them within the 90 days after the completion of the Speechcraft sessions. We accommodate them. They set up the time, we show up, we evaluate their speeches, we give them feedback. Also, give them as much value as you yourself has gotten in Toastmasters. Let them not listen to you all the time. Can you imagine listening to the same teacher every day? It's like you're back to kindergarten. Look for other people within Toastmasters who can come and give evaluation tip session. We had a fantastic tip session that was offered by Eric Mwangi. Have somebody who will come and talk about word choice, someone who will come and talk about research. That way they hear voices from other people. We were also very lucky to get Luisa Montalvo to come and speak to them about how to write speeches of value. So be creative. Look at it as you would your own personal club, the club which you are a member of that you want to see improve. Treat them the same way, and treat them the same way you would want to be treated when you first joined Toastmasters. Back to you, DTM Maggie.
Excellent input and advice right there. Be patient with the speech crafters. Peter Masharia will let you know how much patience we're having to exercise with our current team. Peter, do you want to comment before I bring on AD Rahab? Is Peter Masharia still with us, or maybe not? Okay, AD Rahab, over to you, followed by Nick Jumbi, DTM.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to ask very many questions. My question is now, because they are doing the speeches, how do you balance? Because they are not doing the roles, the other roles. So do you always fill in the other roles with other Toastmasters, or you find a way to incorporate that if they are not doing a speech today, they have a role? How does that work in such a scenario?
Excellent question. Because you have your cohort of 5, and that's why it's nice and neat. There's just 5 of them, and you're able to agree within the meeting. If they are ready, they can all deliver the speech and receive evaluation. If they are not ready, how many are ready and are able to deliver their speech during that particular meeting, and make sure it's evaluated and send them back to their Speechcraft gateway to update that project on their profile. And like DTM Maggie said, you'll find some have delivered 1 speech, others 2, others 3, others 4. And we know the Toastmasters is self-paced. And you'll note that in the group, you will have those who will do the 5 speeches, others 1, and others sadly none. It depends also on how vested somebody is in their own personal growth. We're all busy, aren't we? We create time because we value self-development. Does that help? Because you can't force an adult to deliver 4 speeches.
So what I'm asking is about the other roles, like tag team. If they're
Yes.
not delivering speeches, do you ask them to be like the grammarian, the timer, or what is the best case scenario in such a case? Because obviously it's self-paced, but some may want to give speeches this time, maybe not next time. So
Excellent. In fact, what we are currently doing is when we start off the meeting and everybody introduces themselves and tells us how they've been since the last meeting, we call upon whoever wants to take on the role of the timer, for example, or the timekeeper. The R counter is very popular, and the grammarian. And you'll find some of them are very interesting. They even keep track of their own pause fillers, and they hit the glass for themselves. So yes, we do identify the role takers at the beginning, and you may find instances like last time, Jeroge Maina will remember the R counter was called upon to deliver a speech and had to give the device to somebody else to catch their R's and Ms. So that does happen. And it's interesting trying to get them to the Toastmaster culture where everybody delivers a speech. You assign somebody to deliver. We kind of let them come and let us know whether they are ready. But the ideal would be to allocate. The 3 of you will deliver next time, and then they tell you they are called by head office. They are not there. So we get all of them to have the speeches ready, and then whoever is there delivers. Those are the dynamics, sadly, when you're working with an organization. And then you always show up with whoever, work with those who show up, and you allocate them the meeting roles. And we've been working with the timer, the accountant, grammarian, and then you will work as the general evaluator, We've co-opted Jeroge Maina to come and join us, and he's been so faithful. Thank you, Jeroge Maina, for the continued support. And we are able to include him in the sessions. Does that help, AD Reha?
Yes, very much. Thank you, DTM Maggie.
Yes. Welcome. Distinguished Toastmaster Nick Jumbi, over to you.
Hi, DTM Maggie. First of
Hi.
all, this is a wonderful session. I've enjoyed learning all the great things about Speechcraft. For me, it is two questions which are aligned to what Rehab has asked. The first one is in terms of roles, Pathways updated the requirements for getting a level 1 and level 2 in terms of requirements for roles. So does this affect the speech crafters? And then the other question is, as a best practice, do you look for Toastmasters to evaluate them, or do you encourage them to evaluate each other during the session?
Excellent. Let me tackle the one on the roles first. Because of the enhancements in Pathways, there is an opportunity for somebody who came in as a guest in Toastmasters to log when they become a Toastmaster that they were given an opportunity to answer a table topic. And therefore, they don't necessarily have to do it again to meet that requirement. They have not yet put the option for tracking club meeting roles in the Speechcraft gateway. And therefore, Toastmasters will not be able to see that to pass on the credit. However, if you were the coordinator and you're able to vouch for them because you have the agenda, you may be able to help them put that on their profile later. And it will only apply for things like answering a table topic or being a timer or a counter or the grammarian. But for things like evaluation, they must have the written evaluation, which they will not have. And on the question of whether or not we get expert or Toastmaster evaluators to come in, the answer is yes. And you also encourage them to give one another feedback. It's usually so much fun. And this is possible when you have a smaller group, as everybody gets opportunity to speak. And then you come in as the coordinator, or if you have invited fellow Toastmasters to accompany you, get one of you to complete or summarize that evaluation so that you capture all the aspects. That way you give them practice evaluating, and then you come in and show them this is how we do a complete evaluation, looking at the objectives, the competencies for that speech, and how well those were met. Does that help, Distinguished Toastmaster Nick Jumbi?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Any other question or comment? Go right ahead, President Massey from Downtown Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, DTM Maggie. There's been so much that we have learned today. I am curious, based on your own experience or just generally, how can a club support its members who are Speechcraft coordinators, even as we balance the normal club business? How do we support these members?
Excellent question, and thank you for bringing the aspect of the club support. It is important for every Speechcraft coordinator to let their club know that they are conducting a Speechcraft. And that is important because the money that is paid by the Speechcrafters, either directly or through the organization, doesn't come to you as a member. It goes to your club. But you're allowed to deduct the costs, like the $50 and anything else you may have agreed on. But the money belongs to your club. And it's an excellent way to do fundraising for your own club. and it will help you pay for the meeting venue and all the wonderful things we want to do in our club to motivate members and appreciation, recognition, the sixth moment of truth. It's important once you let the club know, then you can go back to them and let them know, remember, I'm hosting this particular Speechcraft. On this day, I would like whoever is available to accompany me. And these are the support roles that I would like you to take. As the coordinator, you'll find that you're usually the Toastmaster of the day as the coordinator. But can you get somebody else to do the table topics segment, for example, the evaluations, the general evaluator role? All these are options for your club members when they come and support, or just to be there. But of course, we do not have silent Toastmasters. We love speaking, and therefore make sure you incorporate them in the program and allow them to facilitate a segment for their own growth. Learning by doing, not by spectating. Does that help, President Massey?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Welcome. DTM Maggie, you may go ahead.
Thanks, Maggie. I have a question that's been on my mind. Could the speech crafters be given a speaking slot in our clubs if they want to deliver speeches, maybe even take up a role, especially if they're in an online setting, or even if they want in a physical setting and they want to practice within a bigger forum? Can they be given a space to speak and be evaluated by us who are Toastmasters, even if they're not members per se?
Again, it depends on the relationship you're maintaining as a club with that organization that's conducting the Speechcraft. If you as a club agree that because DTM Maggie Waithero is holding a Speechcraft and she has invited this particular Speechcrafter, and with the consent of the expo and the members, they would like to deliver one of their speeches here, and it will be evaluated and it will go towards that Speechcrafter's credit. The club is ran by members and the members have agreed. But you cannot impose it upon the club because you are a Speechcraft coordinator. And the business of members is handled by members. I see the thumbs up. Any other question or comment? And make sure you have fun while you're at it. And these are some of the roles you can go and log on your Pathways profile. That you are TMOD. If you are also the timer, and that happens some of the times, you go in and log. If you're also the table topics master, go and log that role. You need it. If you did an evaluation and make sure it's a full evaluation, then go log it. Go right ahead. Area 3 Director, Rahab.
I have a question. Now, because of what you're saying, as the coordinator, I'm supposed to keep records of every meeting and every role that was taken. And that's what I'm assuming. And am I supposed to log it in somewhere? Or also give it to our VPE? What exactly, how am I supposed to log it so that the information is there? Who took what role, apart from them logging in to feel that they did a certain speech?
And that's for your members. That's for the club members. They're the ones who are logging onto their Basecamp profile, not Speechcrafters. That facility is not there.
Yeah. But now, because of course, the VPE will want to know where they did the certain role. That's why I'm asking. Are you supposed to like have an agenda of like last meeting, this is what happened, these were the people,
And Joroke will confirm he's been seeing our agendas. Joroke, are you able to confirm that? You see the meeting agenda?
Yes, I can confirm that we always have agendas before the Speechcraft sessions.
It's good for good order. And it's a moment of truth element. Okay. And that's proof.
So basically you have a log of whoever gave speeches last time and all of that. But of course, now I'm wondering, for them there is no voting? There's nothing like voting for like best table topics or anything like that.
It
I'm
depends on
assuming.
how fun you want to make it. You
Okay.
are the
So you can.
coordinator.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for those answers.
You see, as a coordinator, practice all the skills and use all the tools we have in our clubs. And make it fun. And the more members you invite from your clubs, the more fun it is. Then they really want to join your Toastmasters club or start their own. Joroke Minor, would you like to say something? I can see you unmute your mic. Go right ahead.
No,
It was from earlier?
I think it was Dan Odolo wants to say something.
Okay, go right ahead, Dan.
Good evening, leaders. Sorry. Yes, with the Speechcraft one, I did a bit of a program. I mean, one of the people from America when Speechcraft was done. And the idea of the Speechcraft was also to take the Speechcraft and it in a company. And one of the things says Speechcraft is very much like a Toastmasters meeting, but you have the thing that you're learning, you're teaching. So it's very similar. In fact, he said if you walked into a Speechcraft and you walked into a normal Toastmasters meeting, you can't really tell the difference. There's just someone talking more, the coordinators giving more guidance. Now, when you take a Speechcraft and say you go into a company and you run a Speechcraft for them, in America they've been doing that. And in fact, the one person who was a coordinator for Speechcraft, and he was a Speechcraft expert talking about Speechcrafts. He says for the last 40 years, what they have been doing, going into companies, doing a Speechcraft, and many companies, a big percentage who are doing a Speechcraft. After the Speechcraft, they have members for a club. So they could then start a club right away, because then the Speechcraft was like in a company, there were 20 people, they went for a Speechcraft. The thing about that is that they know how a meeting runs. So your mentoring is they're not struggling with mentorship because they already know. You've gone through how a meeting runs, all the roles. So it's a very good way of actually going to a company, doing a Speechcraft for 6 or 8 weeks. After that, they can run a meeting and they get into power very quickly. In fact, one of the things that I was saying, Speechcraft is sold after an open meeting. So you say this is a Speechcraft, so you got an open meeting in a company. The next thing, some people are thinking, because sometimes it takes about 6 months before they make a decision to go into a club. But Speechcraft can start right after the sort of, you sell a Speechcraft, you do a Speechcraft, after 8 weeks, a month later, you've got members together already, they know what they're doing, and they get in and start a Toastmasters group. The other benefit is that what they have done in Speechcrafts, they get credits for that into their pathways, first level. So they get credits for that already. So it fits in very nicely. So one of the things that they had for Speechcraft said, run into a company, and that's what I'm thinking. If one of the companies we're talking about is a company, Zepri, who are still thinking, and they're still mulling over it, and they think about do we do a Speechcraft? The ones who are interested are a group together, and from there, the next step, a club. Thank you, and back to you, Maggie.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dan. We appreciate the input. So like we said earlier, you can convert your Speechcrafters to members, or if you are targeting the executives and the top level, They may now have a better understanding on how to build their leaders from within and create a Toastmasters club or Toastmasters clubs for their organization and even pay for their members, or they may send their staff members to existing clubs. All these are options and they all contribute to growth. Any other question or comment? You've been a wonderful, wonderful audience, and we have learned together. Thank you all for attending this session, and all the best as you set up your different speechcrafts. And let's see how many of those we can convert to Toastmasters when that 6 to 8 week period is over.
Thank you, DTM Margaret.
Oh, you're welcome. A reminder, we do have special pathways training sessions starting tomorrow that we are hosting as the PQD team, and we have another member of the PQD team on the call, DTM Nick Jumbe. We will be hosting you tomorrow for pathways. Kindly let your members know that we have pathways tomorrow. We'll be doing an introduction, understanding club meeting rules. How do you select a path? How do you navigate? And then on the Friday, we'll go into the nitty-gritties of how to complete a path or a level or a project. How does the VPE and the other Basecamp managers go in and approve projects? We'll also take time to talk about what goes into a project based on the objectives and the competences. That's on Friday. And then on Saturday, we'll be online again in the morning, covering the content held on Thursday and Friday, but because we have more time on Saturday, we'll have it as a longer session, repeating effectively what we did on Thursday and Friday. Do invite your club members to come in and let's learn together. So we look forward to seeing as many of you as are able to attend, and do post that particular poster in your club meetings and invite your club members to attend. I know not all clubs hold new member orientation sessions, and we'll have a number of new members who are lost. Let's find them starting tomorrow as we go through pathways. We all know that Toastmasters are educators, and the education happens during the Toastmasters meeting experience. Thank you all for joining. You may leave at leisure. Have a good evening.